Do you need talent to learn to play the guitar or drums or piano or anything else? Is talent important? We're going to talk about that today in this little video for you guys. Let's go. Howdy, it's Ryan from Arty Music, your favorite mom and pop guitar shop and music lesson studio deep in the heart of Texas. That's where I'm at. If you're new here, my name is Ryan. I own a little music lesson studio and small town guitar shop with my wife Angela, Arty Music, and we spend the majority of our time teaching lessons. We teach guitar, piano, bass, drums and percussion, ukulele, voice lessons. We're music teachers primarily. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about talent. Man, people get hung up on talent. Do you need talent? Is talent a thing? How important is it? Let's get into that. Now, a little bit of a background. I grew up, took piano lessons when I was a kid, was in the school band from 6th grade on through college, essentially, doing drumline percussion stuff. So I was percussion 6th grade on through my college career. Piano when I was younger than that. Started playing guitar probably about my 8th grade or 9th grade year. This is 88, 89, a while back. And then I went on into college and I studied music and got an Associates of Arts in Music degree. And then I got a Bachelor's of Music degree. So I count that as 2 music degrees in college as a music major. So I studied theory, composition, performance. I had to learn all the high brass instruments, high winds, flute, saxophone, oboe, clarinet, low winds, low brass. Had a semester of strings at Stephen F. Austin State University in Nacogdoches, Texas. So I had to play the viola for a freaking semester, to be a music educator. So my background is steeped in music since I was a child. And I think that's given me a bit of insight on this whole talent thing. What's more important, talent or hard work? Which one matters? I'm going to tell you my thoughts as a lifelong musician on it, and then my thoughts as someone who's been teaching music to all ages of people, kids, up to 78-year-olds, right? I've taught young kids up to 80-year-olds music for multiple decades. Just to get right to the point, I don't think talent is that important. I think talent is often a crutch that people use or an excuse as to why they're not learning as fast as they should, or why someone else is seemingly better at the instrument than they are. And it's we use that word talent as a crutch. Most people do, has been my experience. So let me tell you what I think about that. Now, I do believe that there is a certain amount of natural aptitude that someone might have, a proclivity towards certain things, just like if you think back into elementary school and junior high and high school, that some people do pretty well with math type of things. And then generally speaking, they are a little less good at English. I speak it real good. A lot of time, not all the time, but a lot of times people are oh, math seems to come easy for them. But then language and arts things are a little bit of a struggle. And then some people, language and arts type of skills seem to come a little bit more naturally, but maybe they struggle with math a little bit. So there are, I think, natural aptitudes for certain things. However, we all learned English and math, hopefully, if you graduated high school, right? Maybe you're a special unicorn and you were great at all of it. I bet you just worked really hard. So this is gonna keep coming back, the topic of hard work. And I'm gonna give you an example, a real world example in my life of when I first really started thinking about work matters more than talent. So I'm gonna take you back to my time at Stephen F. Austin State University. Is a school here in Texas. And it's a school well known for its education department, forestry department, but also has a pretty good music department. pretty good music department. Also known as a party school, but every freaking college is a party school. There's parties at every college. I never considered it that way. But flashing back, this was about 99, 2000, 2001, 2002. When I was there getting my final 2 years, junior, senior year courses done to get my Bachelor of Music degree, I was a percussion major, music education major, but a specialty in percussion because that was my main instrument at that point. So in the percussion department of Stephen F. Austin, there was, I don't know, maybe 30, somewhere between 20 and 30 percussion majors who we were studying percussion in music, right? There was one of us, John. John was significantly better than the rest of us. Significantly better. So John, I liked John so much. We became friends when I was there, and I liked him. John could do the rudimental snare drum, marching snare stuff really well. He was the drum captain. He could also play the 4 mallet marimba stuff that I freaking hated, mallet percussion, but I had to learn it anyways. He was great at the 4 mallet marimba, xylophone, all the stuff, mallet percussion things. He was great at the timpani. He was a phenomenal drum set player, which you don't see that a lot in the scholastic side of studying music. You get a lot of guys who are like, you know, classical percussion, timpani, snare drum, marimba, that kind of stuff. But a lot of those guys don't really know how to play drum set. John wailed on the drum set. He was so good. Like, he was just like, God dang it, John. Is there anything you're not good at, right? So, I mean, like, clearly head and shoulders above the rest of us. Like, easily. He was like the best percussionist we had. Easily. John went, I think, he must have been 21 because he went and did drum corps, DCI stuff, if you're familiar with that. The highest level marching snare drum stuff, it's like the NFL of marching bands, right? And I forget which corps he marched with, but it was his first and last and only year to march. Might have been the Cavaliers. I think he was with the Cavaliers that year. And, made the snare line on his first try. And that was also the year, I think it's Cavaliers. John, if I'm wrong, tell me down below. They tied for first place. They were like world champions. All right, so you got to be pretty freaking good to get onto the snare line of any DCI. Anyways, the point is, John was amazingly good compared to the rest of us, right? You could walk down the hallway in the music building and walk toward the percussion studio, and I could hear someone in there playing drum set, and I'm like, oh, that's John. Yeah, that's John. Easily. Before he even walked in the door, I could tell it was John. Or you could walk and go, I think that's Braden. That sounds like Braden. Braden was another guy. Braden's awesome. He's freaking off in Nashville doing music business stuff. Anyway, so Braden's killing it. He was a good drum set player too, but I could hear the difference. I also played drum set. I didn't do that at SFA, but I did that in my other schools and, was in a band and toured and stuff. Anyways, John was amazing. Was John more talented than the rest of us? I don't know. Because I can tell you what John did do. John was always in the percussion studio practicing. I mean, like, multiple hours, 2, 3, 4 hours. I mean, he practiced all the time, I think. Because it seemed like every single time I went there, he was there. And he also made straight A's. I'm pretty sure he made straight A's in college. And we were talking, I think, because we lived across from each other in the family housing. Angela and I were married. John lived over there. And he was usually at the library studying, or he was in the music building practicing. None of the rest of us were practicing 2, 3, 4 hours a day all the time. None of the rest of us were studying. Well, we were studying, but we probably weren't studying as hard as John. I know none of the rest of us were practicing as much as he did. And that was just in college. So I don't know what he did in junior high and high school before he got to college, like how much he practiced. So John went on, we've stayed in touch. John went on to get his master's degree in music and percussion. And then he got his freaking doctorate degree. This is Dr. John. Dr. John now. And I think he teaches, it might be at, can't remember it might be at Sam Houston State University. I think he was at Sam Houston for a while. Anyways, he was like the director of percussion at a university, right? So clearly a very talented guy. But the thing is, like, I know how much he practiced and how hard he worked. If he was talented, would he have had to work that hard? The whole point of this video is, as I have a student, Corbin, who's great. He's about to graduate and go off to college in Oklahoma. Corbin's taken guitar lessons from me for a couple of years. And then in the last several months, he wanted to learn a few other things. So we talked about some piano and keyboard stuff. And then he's like, man, I've always wanted to play drums. And so I gave him a couple of drum lessons, right? Just showing him how to hold the sticks, how to, because he already understood, rhythm and timing and eighth notes, 16th notes, quarter notes, that kind of stuff. But just applying it to the drum sets. And after maybe a second lesson, he texted me. He's like, hey, do you think I'm talented at drums, or should I give it up and do something else? And I'm like, man, you just started. It's like, I don't really believe in talent, Corbin. I believe in hard work. Hard, smart work, right? It just triggered a conversation in my head about that, because I think about this a lot. About when I was younger, I thought if I was talented at guitar, I would be able to learn guitar solos easier. I can play rhythm guitar fine and learn basic stuff fine. But I guess I'm not very talented, because this other stuff that I really wanted to do was kind of hard for me. And I could play pretty well junior high, high school. Most of the music they gave us, I didn't really have to go home and really grind and practice to learn the music we played in class. So I probably have a little bit of natural aptitude. But at the same point, once I got into college, it was like, oh, Jesus, help me, Lord, help me. The music was much harder and the demands were much higher. And I had to start practicing like a lot more than I was used to. So then that kind of triggered the thought of like, maybe I'm not that talented. To the point that in my senior year at SFA, I was preparing for my senior recital, which is where you have to perform about 45 minutes of music on a stage for judges, for the faculty, and they judge you. Was that good or bad? And I was preparing for that, and I was really struggling on this really hard piece of music, and I thought, I'm just not any good at this. Why do they even let me get this far? Why do they even let me continue to be a music major? This is too hard. I can't do it. Luckily, one other thing, a side note, I know. We'll get back to John and talent in a second. Side note for me was, I had this idea in my head that I'm like, if I was talented, this would be easier. And to the point where I spent, several hours practicing just maybe one line of music. And I walked home. We lived on campus. We lived the other side of Stephen F. Austin from the music building. And I was walking home at like 10 o'clock at night with my backpack and my stick bag. And I'm walking literally all the way across campus. I'm like, I suck. I am not good at this. It's a 13-page piece of music. And I literally spent a couple of hours on like 4 or 5 bars. I was like, ugh, what the heck? And the next morning I met with my professor, my percussion instructor, and I played what I was working on. And he's like, all right, that's pretty good. We just need to keep working on them, get a little bit further into the piece. And I was like, man, I spent like hours last night just on this much. And he just looked at me, and I remember it clear as day. Now, nobody else liked him. Nobody else in the percussion department really cared for our instructor. But he just looked at me, he's like, yeah, man. Because I was like, I spent a couple of hours just doing that. And he just looked at me like, yeah, it's really hard. And he was like, yeah, that's what you do. That's normal to spend hours working on just this chunk of music. I was like, what? Oh, God. Well, number one, I'm not a moron. Number one, I'm not terrible. It's just, this is hard music. And to learn this piece of music is going to take this much time because it's freaking hard. You're like, oh, God. Okay. Seeing how much John practiced, having that experience of actually having to play some really hard music, I realized that talent is a very small amount of the equation, in my opinion. A little bit of talent helps. It doesn't make things easy, depending on how good you want to get at the particular instrument. So, and I know I have a friend who's been playing guitar his whole life. He's in his 70s now. He's like, man, I was not the best guitar player in high school, but I just kept going, and a lot of the other guys quit, and I just kept going. And now he's like a pretty good guitar player. I'm like, wow, you just keep going. So, in my opinion, as a lifelong musician, who things didn't necessarily come easy for all the time. I just had to practice and work hard, and then I got much better at stuff, and to the point now I have students who are just starting on their guitar journey, and I'm teaching them something. I'll show it, and they'll go, "Man, you made that look easy," and they just look at me like, "My God, you're so good." And I'm like, of course I know. I'm like, I'm not good. Jeff Loomis is good. Eddie Van Halen is good. That's good. I am not that. Stevie Ray Vaughan is good. I am not Stevie Ray Vaughan, therefore I can't be good. But I'm much better than complete beginners, right? In my mind, that's how I look at it. I'll play something and they'll just like, oh my God, they look at it, perspective. And they're like, that was so good. You're so amazing. You made that look so easy. I'm like, well, it is easy for me because I've done it for 30 years. I mean, like how many thousands or hundreds of thousands of times have I played this or done vibrato or done this little whatever? It should be easy because I've done it for 30 years. If you do it for 30 years, it'll be easy for you too. You've done it for 3 weeks. They're like, do you think I'm talented? I'm like, I think you just started. You just started, right? So don't use talent as a crutch. Now, there is certain things. I like to equate music and sports. There's very similar things. If you're an athlete, you understand some of this stuff. There's a little bit of genetics. Like you're not going to play in the NBA if you're like 5'3". You probably need to be 6'5" or up, 6'6" or up, to play in the NBA. You probably need to be 7 foot to be a superstar, whatever. There's a little bit of genetics in some of that stuff. Bodybuilding is very genetics heavy. Like you cannot control the muscle insertion points, like where your muscles attach to the bone and are they long or short or your bone structure. You can't control that. So no matter what you do, even with the diet and exercise and performance enhancing supplements, your body is what your body is. So there is a little bit of that, but I think more than anything else is how much work you put in. Now that's a little bit tricky too, because like, well, I know a guy, he's been playing for his whole life. He still sucks. I'm like, he's been playing for his whole life, but he has not been practicing for his whole life. There's different kinds of practice. There's, deliberate practice where you're working on something you suck at and you do it 7 billion times and then you don't suck less and you get better. And now you can do that thing. And now you go to another thing that you suck at and you keep working at it, right? Playing the same thing that you've played for 20 years, just over and over, never pushing yourself to learn something new, that doesn't count. I've played for 10,000 hours. Like you played the exact same thing for 10,000 hours. It's pushing yourself. There's meaningless practice that's just, you're not pushing into a new territory. Real practice does not feel good because you're not good at it. So you're working at it, right? Practicing is working, in my book, practicing is working on the stuff you suck at. Playing is just playing. Like you can do it. So it's playing. So there has to be deliberate practice. There has to be effective practice. You can waste a lot of time. You can practice very ineffectively and very inefficient practice, right? 2 people can practice for 30 minutes, and one of them can make a lot of progress, and one of them can make very little progress. Now, we both practiced for 30 minutes. It's like, well, one of you practiced very intelligently and efficiently and smart practice, and one of you did something and you called it practice, but it wasn't really effective practice. So, long story long, John's awesome. I see him every now and then on Facebook and Instagram, and he's a great dude, very focused. I'm not sure he was more talented than the other rest of us who were in college as percussion majors. I don't think he was more talented than the rest of us who had to audition to get into college to be percussion majors. I think he definitely outworked all of us. We were all percussion majors. We could all play. We'd all made it through 6th grade, junior high, high school, and now in college, percussionists. He was head and shoulders above the rest of us. Was he more talented? I don't think so. Was he talented? Probably. Were the rest of us talented? Maybe. Probably. If you believe in that. I think you have a proclivity for something. But that's not the end of the story. Everybody, especially young students, they think, if I was talented, this would be easy. I'm like, no. It's not. It's never easy. And occasionally I've had students where they picked up the first few lessons. They're like, oh, okay, they picked it up pretty quickly. And then we got to the 6th or 7th lesson, and then they started struggling. They're like, oh, this is hard. I guess I'm not any good at this. I'm like, you have no idea if you're good at this or not. You finally hit a roadblock where it got hard, and you think it should be easy. So no matter how much natural aptitude or maybe natural talent someone has or doesn't have, that is not the end of all the story. I've seen people with less talent practice more and surpass other students who maybe had a little bit more natural aptitude, but they'd never practiced that much. They practiced very hit or miss on their practice. And this other kid who maybe picked things up a little bit slower than this other kid did surpassed them because they just kept going. So, in my opinion, talent does not beat hard work. I know this is going to be a lot of commentary down below, but talent is useful, but it's not the only factor that matters. Matter of fact, people I've seen, most of the time the people who have maybe a little bit more talent towards something usually never go anywhere with it. They usually give up because no matter how easy the beginning might be, you're going to get to a part where it's hard. And then most of the time they just quit because as soon as it gets hard, they're like, oh, I guess I'm not talented at this. Because they feel like, especially younger people, feel like if I was talented, this would be easy. No, you just haven't done enough reps yet. All right, that was just an idea I had, my personal perspective. I could be completely wrong, and that's fine. I'm just giving you my perspective from my life as a musician. Some things were easy, some things I struggled at. Some things are still hard. Like I can't sweep pick like a maniac. I wish I could. And I 100% believe I could learn to sweep pick. Tons of other people have learned to do it, so it's learnable. I don't know that I have time or the desire to put in the reps to become a masterful sweep picking whatever. It's just time and reps. My life experience as a musician in various multiple instruments, and then as a music teacher for a couple of decades. That's my perspective on it. So you can agree, fantastic. You can disagree, that is okay too. Whatever floats your boat. Just have a think about it. Not all practice is equal. We'll do some videos talking about what is practice, what is not practice, effective practice strategies. I didn't know how to practice, really, until I got to college. I'm sure I was told by my teachers, but I probably just didn't pay attention. I didn't really learn to implement real, actual practice strategies that got results until I was in college. And I did all that on percussion and piano, and then I'd been playing guitar since 8th grade. Then I kind of like took all that stuff that I learned about how to practice effectively and I started applying it to my guitar playing, and then I saw a lot of growth in my guitar playing. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I'm going to make a lot more videos in 2025, and we'll see you in the next one. Until then, keep the music alive. Don't forget it. The music needs you. We need the music. We need to keep it alive for the next generation and get them to keep playing. Just keep playing. All right, we'll see you then. Bye, guys.